I've been making a lot of Harry Potter what if videos recently, and that's because the Harry Potter world is so expansive that it's easy to get lost in it. As great as the series is, so many incredible other things could have happened. Neville could have been the one to kill Bellatrix, avenging his parents. Barty Crouch Jr. could have become one of the greatest villains of the series. Hagrid could have become one of the greatest wizards of all time. So let's explore some of the plot points that we never got. Now, we all love the incredible moment when Molly kills Bellatrix.
Not my daughter, you bitch!
And her defending Ginny like that just after losing Fred, we'd never want to take that away from her. But what if Neville had been the one to kill Bellatrix? Now, we know that Bellatrix was part of the group who tortured Neville's parents, so much so that they lost their minds and spent most of Neville's life in St. Mungo's. So wouldn't it have been some sweet justice if Neville had avenged his parents by being the one to take down Bellatrix at the Battle of Hogwarts? And there's an opening for it too. After Voldemort parades Harry's dead body around, the centaurs come to join the fight, and then Harry jumps from Hagrid's arms and he hides himself in his invisibility cloak. The battle breaks out again and Voldemort is drawn into the Great Hall where he's dueling a bunch of people. Neville is in there, McGonagall is in there, and this is actually where Bellatrix is killed by Molly. But with Neville and Bellatrix both in the same place, it could quite easily have been those two who ended up dueling. Now obviously Neville's the one that kills Nagini. Don't know why I did that as though you don't know who Nagini is. It was a snake. But if Neville kills Nagini and kills Bellatrix, I think we run the risk of it becoming a Neville Longbottom is a badass party. And you know, Neville Longbottom is a badass, and I would definitely attend that party. But in the interest of fairness and breaking up these badass moments, what if McGonagall, head of Gryffindor, pulls Gryffindor's sword from the sorting hat and is the one to kill the final Horcrux? Just an idea. Okay, jumping from a great hero in Neville Longbottom to a great villain that we never got in Barty Crouch Jr. So in the Goblet of Fire, Barty Crouch Jr. tricks Dumbledore and actually the entire Hogwarts faculty. And the thing about the Harry Potter universe is that the greatest wizards and witches of all time seem to work at Hogwarts. McGonagall is one of only a few animagus. Slughorn teaches most of the Wizarding World potions and says that Severus Snape is one of the best he ever taught. Flitwick was a dueling champion, and Dumbledore could have been Minister for Magic. Yet they all teach at Hogwarts, and they were all fooled by Barty Crouch Jr. When he disguises himself as Mad-Eye Moody in the Goblet of Fire, he tricks all of those teachers and a bunch of the students too. And in tricking the students, he actually bonds with Harry and Neville. Thinking about it, house elves are so powerful, and so many of them work at Hogwarts. And yet none of them even clocked onto the fact that Mad-Eye Moody was actually Barty Crouch Jr. as an imposter. Not even Dobby, and Barty Crouch Jr. is the one that gets him to give Harry the gillyweed for the second task, and he doesn't even figure it out. So he's clearly a very powerful and deceptive wizard. Not only that, but he's the first person to ever break out of Azkaban. We have his history as a Death Eater, and he's a bloody powerful dark wizard. So not only is he a formidable foe, but think of the scenes we could have had. Picture this, the Order of the Phoenix. The year after he'd deceived everybody as Mad-Eye Moody and then somehow escaped, Barty Crouch Jr. comes face to face with Harry Potter again at the Department of Mysteries. He'd be taunting him. He'd use the way that Harry had trusted him the previous year, and he'd flip that and belittle him and mock him. Did you enjoy my lessons on the unforgivable curses? Let me show you how they work on people. And then the Order arrives, including the real Mad-Eye Moody. Imagine the two of them duel there in the Department of Mysteries, and think of all the quips and one-liners they could be throwing back and forth. Barty Crouch could be like, "You're moving slower on that wooden leg than I did, Alistair." And Moody would be retorting, "You were a better teacher than you are a jeweler, Barty." Moody is a pirate in my head. Then fast forward a year. Imagine if Barty Crouch Jr. was at the top of the astronomy tower with Dumbledore just before he died. The way he'd taunt Dumbledore for besting him a second time. "I think, Albus, once we take over Hogwarts, I'll have my old office back." I genuinely think, done right, Barty Crouch Jr. could have inspired as much hatred in us as Umbridge does. But with that, we'd also have similar levels of fear that we get from Bellatrix. And then the payoff, when he's eventually killed in the Battle of Hogwarts. Oh, it would be so satisfying. If we decided to give Neville the Bellatrix kill, the whole Molly moment, we could have that still, but with Barty Crouch instead. Oh, it would be so much more satisfying than just having him die off screen to a bunch of Dementors. While Harry, Ron and Hermione are hunting the Horcruxes during the Deathly Hallows, there is arguably a more interesting plot occurring at Hogwarts. With Hogwarts being run by Snape and with Death Eaters like the Carrows on the teaching staff, Neville, Ginny and Luna are leading a rebellion of students to stand up against them. And we missed out on an incredible story by not seeing this. I want to see Neville smuggling out first years so they can avoid detention with the Carrows. I want to see Ginny pranking Snape and the Carrows subtly enough that she doesn't get caught, but big enough that it distracts them from maybe some awful things they're doing. I want to see Luna organising Rackspert discussion groups, which are secret meetings with the DA, planning their resistance. I want to see McGonagall's constant battle with Snape and the Carrows, because she can't outright curse them. If she does, they'll kill, imprison, or fire her. And if that happens, how will she protect any of the students from them? So she has to toe the line, save who she can, and pick her battles. She'd be conspiring with Flitwick and Sprout and the other good teachers to see how they could help. Oh, it would be such a brilliant, tense, exciting story. I want it so badly. I actually imagine there's fan fiction out there of something like that, so if anyone has a good one, please recommend it in the comments. So Hagrid, after the events of the Chamber of Secrets, is proven innocent of the crime that got him expelled. I would love a plot that sees him learn magic again, to get a wand and restart his education. Now I think Hagrid is too proud to sit among the young students and learn with them, but private lessons in his hut with an assortment of teachers who love and care about him. It would be so wholesome. Not to mention we'd inevitably get a scene where Hagrid has to ask Hermione for help, and Hermione would end up like welling up with tears, just moved that he asked her for help. And we'd get a joke from Ron, well, why didn't he ask me? But I don't just think this plot would be good for the sentimental reasons, although it would be great to see Hagrid becoming his best self. But more than that, think of how powerful Hagrid would become. Hagrid is a half giant. In the Order of the Phoenix, he took multiple stunning spells from 6 different powerful wizards who were trying to capture him. But he didn't get stunned. He was able to carry on fighting. The power and resilience to withstand that, along with his brute strength, unwavering loyalty, and add in a fully developed set of magical skills. Hagrid could have been one of the most powerful wizards of the entire series. Oh my god, just imagine his Patronus. Hagrid who feels and cares and loves so deeply, conjuring up his happiest moment, whether that's when Norbert hatched, when Buckbeak was saved or returned to him, or even regardless of the animals, when he went to see Harry aged 11 and gave him the Hogwarts letter. Those memories from Hagrid could produce one of the most powerful Patronuses the wizarding world has ever seen. And I, for one, would love to see him reach that potential. Somebody else who would have loved to see him reach that potential is Ron. But what if Ron didn't see anybody reach their potential? What if Ron died in the Philosopher's Stone during that chess match where he sacrificed himself? Well, it would change so much about the entire series, and I broke the whole scenario down in this video, so go and check it out.